What's up, YouTube? Well, about an hour ago I decided we're going to dig the CRX out and I'm going to have it ready for a cruise in 7 days. So, time to put a battery in and get it in the garage. I'm Steve, and this is CC Garage. So here it is in all of its glory, 1990 Honda CRX DX. So it's just a base model with the 1.5 in it. I threw a turbo kit on and I'm pretty sure it blew up the first time it got boost, so we're finally gonna get into it. So car's in the driveway, or in the garage, not the driveway. Driveway's out there. So ended up having a hand getting the hood off. There's 4 10mm bolts. Set the hood over there for now. I'm gonna go ahead now and make a mess because I'm gonna disconnect the coolant. My plan is disconnect the boost piping or intercooler piping, whatever you want to call it. Disconnect it there, disconnect it at the turbo. Actually, I'll probably take this elbow right off. So I'm gonna have to obviously remove, not even in there, take off our valve cover, take off, I'm not sure if I can get away with doing the bolts down here or the manifold bolts. I plan on removing this whole thing as one assembly to slide the gasket in there. Yes and no, I should have left the valve cover on because I'm probably getting a bunch of stuff in there. Okay, long story short, we got the head off, and I heard you get more views when you show some skin, so here we are. So I didn't feel like tearing everything apart. I didn't want to take all the intake stuff off, so there's still stuff that's hooked up, my fuel lines and vacuum lines and whatever else. But on the back of the intake, one of the issues I was having is this brace right here actually bolts to the bottom of the intake from the block. So even after you get your head bolts out, your intake is still bolted to your block. So that's a 12mm bolt. What I had to do, I had to pull the wheel off so I could squeeze my little Debbie belly under there, and got that out. So I just have a ratchet strap holding this up. Like I said, it's still attached, it's just off the block. We get a razor blade, clean up that surface. I don't know what's obvious about it being bad. I know it is bad because I'm pretty sure I lifted the head. But we're gonna try to buy some new bolts or steal the studs out of my other car. And by other car, this is my other car. It's a 90 SI. It's got a D16 ZC, I want to say, a single overhead cam. But this one was my daily until I got the red one, then this one blew up. So it's wire tucked on the side. It's not turboed like the other car. It's got a bigger intake. I'm not sure if that would be the intake for the ZC or if that would be the A6 intake or what it is. Did an emissions delete on it, but this motor actually has head studs. So that being said, AutoZone called me to tell me my gasket's there, so we're gonna go for a ride. You guys ready to get out of here? Too bad, we're going. Dad's got car parts to get. So we made our trip to AutoZone, we got our gasket, we got our fluids. So what I'm doing right now is, got my razor blade, cleaning off the surface that the gasket goes on. I got the bottom cleaned off. I'm gonna lay this on there to keep everything out. I'm gonna take that blade and I'm gonna scrape the top of the head. Like I said, the head is still attached. I don't really want to take it all the way off if I don't have to. So I'm gonna go ahead and scrape the top, clean it up, keep everything from getting in there, and then we'll be able to lay our new gasket and put it back together. So we got the head sitting back on here. All the bolts are slid in. We're gonna go grab our torque wrench. The torque sequence is 1, 2, well, I forgot the numbers, but it goes crisscross. And there's actually 3 torque sequences. First one is 14 foot-pounds. The second one is 32 foot-pounds. And then 49 foot-pounds 2 times. So I'm gonna go grab my torque wrench, get that set up. Okay, so if you guys are unfamiliar with a torque-style torque or quick-style torque wrench, pretty basic. So you have your numbers up the sides right here, and then your numbers are on the edge. So right here at 10 goes down, and then you have 0. So that would be 10 foot-pounds. Or no, yeah. No, that would be 0 foot-pounds right now. Do 1 full turn, that would be 10. Come over here to 4, that would be 14. So there's 20. There's 30. Go 34. You tighten your thing at the bottom, retorque everything. The manual itself says 49 foot-pounds. I'm boosted, so I'm going to go 55. We're at 34, 40, 50, 55. Another thing I did was I reused my head bolts. That is a no-no. I plan on buying ARP head studs for this. And when you switch over from stock head bolts to head studs, you can do that without taking your head off, without popping your head gasket. So what you do is you just pull your valve cover off and you replace the bolts one at a time, following the instructions. And you shouldn't have to do your head gasket. I've seen many videos on it, and that's what I plan on doing. After the sequence, you just go back over, do everything the same foot-pounds, just to double check everything. Right click. 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 So we got our head bolts in. Now we can go back through, throw our valve cover on, distributor, fuel injector wires, and all the other wires we took off. I wouldn't go crazy tight putting these back on. I know there's probably a torque spec, but I've had several other Hondas where these actually broke off. Other stuff I'm going to be doing to this car is I want to clean up all the emission stuff. I did that on my other car. I also did a wire tuck on the passenger fender. I started on the driver fender, cleaning up just a bunch of little things. The other car has a bigger intake, so I might take that off, swap them out. Obviously this car needs more air because it is boosted, even though it is smaller displacement. If I get really ambitious, I actually have a V18 out of a Integra. I might throw that on here. I'm not 100% sure. So that was my plan a couple years ago. I took it into an engine shop to have it machined, and they told me that all the valves were bent and I wasn't willing to spend the money at the time. If you guys are really into watching this car get built and I start making a little more money on the channel, then I will definitely look into my options for that, because I have the motor and the transmission from it. This car is a blast to drive the way it is right now, but it would be even more fun with more power. Probably don't want to bore you guys with putting exhaust bolts back in, so we'll be right back. So downpipe is bolted back on, exhaust manifold's back on, we got our injector plugs back on. Go ahead, and there's nothing else on the front that we really got to do except for a timing belt. So I'm going to go ahead, get our charge piping right here connected again, just so I don't have to worry about dropping anything on the turbo. We'll get our oil line brought back for our feed. A bunch of wires over here I got to plug back in, just random ass connectors. Get those plugged in. We'll get the distributor back on. Radiator can go back on. And a bunch of other small stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that, and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so everything is back together except for this. For the timing belt, got the car up off the ground. We go ahead and pull this wheel off real quick. Okay, so with the wheel off, got a 17 millimeter. You take our pulley off. Do not lose your keyway in there. So, okay, so that plastic cover just fell off, which allowed me to get in there on the tensioner. Nice and loose. Okay, so if you're like me, you rushed into this job and you did not make any marks on your timing stuff. So I thought I could get away with just slipping my belt back on and it'd be good. Well, the car doesn't start, which I had a feeling. So my hack job or whatever is I have a set of jumper cables that go to an external battery. There is a spade post on the side of your starter. That is your 12 volt signal. I have that just looped around to the jumper cable. So starter's got positive, well, the cable's hooked to the positive and to the 12 volt signal to actually activate it. Got it grounded to my exhaust manifold. And then what I do is I bump this to the positive post, which spins my crank pulley. So on your crank pulley, it's kind of hard to tell now because I actually have it where I need it. One second. So there is, kind of hard to see, there is a little piece of plastic that sticks out. You use that like a gun sight. On the pulley itself, there is 3 little timing marks. That's hard to focus. There's 3 little timing marks and then 1 big timing mark. The big timing mark is for your base time. That big one you line up with that gun sight. And what you do up here is your pulley says up. Up actually needs to face up. And there's a line right there and a line right there. Those need to actually be level with the head. So I'm going to slide this belt back off and we are going to spin the cam to get that where it needs to go. Okay, so it should be all good. It should be timed. Should be. So let's see what happens. I got my ignition key turned. I got a jumper wire on the starter so I can start it from out here. Probably not the best idea in a way, just because if anything happens, I can't just shut the key off. Nope. Well, I know the reason it didn't start that time. My key wasn't on. It was in the ignition, just wasn't on. Oh, let's try this again. Is it gonna start, Parker? I hope so. Yeah, baby. Give me some 5. Yeah. Race car? Yeah. Hell yeah. So there you guys have it. Another successful video. We took the car down the road. No issues. Still got to do the hood on it before the weekend. I swapped some 16-inch cobalt wheels on there. They look good. They're a little too big. The back actually rubs, so that's an issue. I'm try to order wheels this week. Or tires, I mean. And go ahead and order new couplers because you see that right there. That's cracked. But all in all, the car ran pretty good for my short little test drive. Didn't overheat. I let it run for probably 20 minutes and no overheating, so success on that. So thanks for following along. See you guys in the next one.